I was going to say, we have to ask our question that we will ask all of our interviewees as the
Mm-hmm.
Power Stance podcast. How do you stand for yourself in the fashion world?
Oh, that is a very good question. I would say to block out the noise of the world. Because, that cheesy phrase where they say, if you stand nothing, if you don't stand alone, even if you're standing by yourself or whatever that phrase is. I know you guys know what I'm talking about on that. I feel like if you block out the noise in the world, you're more braver standing by yourself, even if it is by yourself, even if you find out you're by yourself. And I'll be honest with you, in working in the fashion industry is extremely hard. For a side hustle and as a day job, I sometimes do feel left out. But at the end of the day, I remember who I belong to, and I remember who I am as a person, and that even though my blog is really tiny, I feel like I'm making more of a difference with that than my day job. So for me, it's more so blocking out the opinions of other people, the people that have no experience in blogging or fashion, because it's basically, you don't want to ask advice from somebody, financial advice from somebody who's broke. It's kind of like that. So for me, it's really blocking everybody out and getting in tune with myself, my best friends included. You block your best friends out, and try to hear yourself. And for me personally, hearing what God has to say about me. And then when you're rooted in what he says about you, everything else does not matter. The opinions of other people do not matter. And then at that point, you can then stand for yourself in confidence, even if no one is standing with you or people are scared to stand with you. And then they start noticing, there's something about her that I want to have. And at that point, when you see that, you know that standing up for yourself in a world like such as is right now is so worth it when you get somebody to want to stand up for themselves too.
That's so good, Wong. And I think you've brought up so many important points throughout this conversation about how important it is to know yourself and be confident in yourself first. And that if you're really struggling to figure out your fashion and your personal style, that you might have some deeper questions to ask about,
Mm-hmm.
what you're wanting to project and who you're wanting to be, and then going from there. And I think that's a very deep and thoughtful response to how to project yourself in the fashion world.
It's from personal experience, to be honest, and seeing how other women dress in general. And you can dress in the most prettiest dress, but if you're not confident in yourself, you can really see that, like to Karen's pointer, you can really see that, but then there's somebody who's so happy and they could be wearing a paper sack and it still looks so good on them, or something that was from the 90s or 2000s. And you're like, wait a second, that trend was over, 20 something years ago, but she is wearing that outfit, and that's how you want to be friends with that person, is you're just like, their confidence is just, I want that. So come be my friend, please. So yeah, I think I love this topic that you guys have brought upon, because it actually did make me think a lot. I hope anybody else out there that is thinking of getting into fashion, just know that it is extremely hard, but it's not as hard as you think it is if you have confidence in yourself and work on that first. And then that's how the personal style comes.
Do you have like a goal, like a personal goal or dream for your blog, your fashion blog? You put a lot of time and investment into it, and you've been doing it for a really long time. Remind us again how long you've been blogging.
I've actually been blogging for a lot longer than most people would expect. Think about MySpace and Zanga years. That's how far back we're going. But to a little bit of a backstory, I ran away from blogging for a long time, a long, long time. And I realized I was not happy with anything else if I did not write. And so my official anniversary of blogging was, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, 5 years of She Sweats Diamonds.
Wow.
Yay. And it's been an extremely hard journey. But I I like to think that it's taught me so much about myself. It taught me, don't be afraid to talk about any topic. Talk about something you're passionate about, and if somebody's just there for makeup, that's fine, and they can get something else as a bonus from it. Connor, one of our mutual friends, he texted me a couple of months ago, and he was like, "I love your blog," and I was like, "Wait a second, you're a guy, you're reading my blog?" So you just never know who's reading or listening to your podcast or anything like that. You know, it's a matter of just facing and doing what you love. Because the biggest regret I will say that I have is not starting my blog when God told me to start it. And I think about that constantly as a fuel, not as oh my God, I should have done that. Because I prayed about that and got over that. But more so I think about, man, how many people could I have touched had I started this earlier? And that continues to fuel me to keep going, even though I have problems with the back office of my website it's a learning curve, still 5 years in, I'm still learning how to not make my website disappear, which is a true story. I made my website disappear one day and I did not know how to bring it back, which I probably should have called you, Karen. But yeah, it's just a lot of learning, and just the desire to want to learn and the desire to want to fall forward. And I rather fall forward by blogging and messing up along the way than not doing anything at all. Because when I wasn't doing anything, that was when I was probably the saddest in my life, to be honest.
Oh, that's such good inspiration for us, Paige.
Yeah, I'm keeping that fall forward. I just bookmark that. I love that phrase, fall forward, not backwards, because you're going to fall one way or another.
You might as well fall forward.
That is so good. Yeah, Guang had to sit here while we were figuring out our sound, and it was basically me going, Karen, the buttons, I don't know what was happening. Karen going, I don't know, click this.
But see, it's me sitting here witnessing you guys put together this technology that I'm over here like, they're inspiring me because they're still learning about this along the way. And whoever out there, whatever you want to start, it doesn't have to even be a blog or a podcast. Just start it, because when people see you falling forward, it inspires them to finally get up and do something for themselves, whatever topic or industry it could be in. I see this and I'm like, this is great, because it makes me feel good to have friends that are willing to fall forward, friends that are wanting to make a change, in anybody's life by doing this podcast, but you guys are sitting here figuring it out. And I'm like, yes, I don't feel alone. Even though they're not bloggers, I do not feel alone because they're learning this with me,
Yes.
So
we've talked about, being beginners at it and just the frustration of it, because you're like, why can't I figure this out? And having to YouTube, or Google or whatever to figure it out. But it's satisfying too, because even if it's not perfect, I got to remind myself, Enneagram 1 here, I got to remind myself, done is better than perfect.
That is true. Yes.
It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, people like that realness to it.
Yes.
And they like the, exactly like you were saying, Wong, they like knowing that someone else is just making their way through life, trying to figure something out at the same time. And, and I know Paige can attest to the same thing too. Just it's a part of the journey is the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. I still have my very first website up for that very reason. So I can sometimes go back to it and go, what was I thinking? But really, really to see how far I've come, and I love that you guys are doing this and recording this, because I know 100 episodes from now that you're going to look back on this and you're going to look at this recording and you're going to hear this episode and you're going to be like, wow, we came such a long way, and look at all these lives we've changed. Look at how we've changed and how we've grown, and I can look back at that and go, wow, look at where we were at collectively as friends and look at where we're at now. And it's so cool. It's just neat to look back and see how far you've come,
Oh, absolutely. I think last year, the big lesson I feel like Karen and I had was take the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And the lesson I'm having this year is the next hardest step is the second one.
Yeah.
That first one, you have kind of that rush of adrenaline from just doing it. But then what really matters if it keeps going is taking the second step forward, to just keep pushing through that learning curve and the frustrations involved with it. And I think even like we were talking with your personal style, and just like if you're super overwhelmed by it, just take one step, then take the next step. Like just start changing your shoes.
Yep.
Okay, now let's start changing like my jackets. Like let's just start taking one step at a time
Hey,
forward.
a baby step is still a step, you know? So